And good afternoon and happy Mother's Day. You are watching the Security First Bank Cavalier Sports Network coming to you live from McKeague Field in Rapid City. We're close to first pitch. Today the Cavaliers will play two games, one at 1 o'clock against the Platte-Geddes PGDCWL. The WL stands for White Lake Honkers, and coached by Jeff Kuiper, who come in with a record of 5-3. Then the Honkers will take on Lee Deadwood in the second game today, and in the nightcap, the third game, Cavaliers will host Lee Deadwood for a triangular of 3 straight games. We're going to bring you one game on this senior day, this Mother's Day Sunday. And that's this game coming up, a premier game between the number 3 seed PGDCWL Honkers, who come in 5-3, just a little bit behind Rapid City Christian in the point standings. You want to finish in the top 2 to host a regional. And for the Cavaliers, their picture's pretty straightforward. They're sitting in that 6-7 spot right now. If they can earn a split today of their 2 games against Lee Deadwood and against this Platte-Geddes DC White Lake team, then certainly the Cavaliers will be in a very good position to avoid the 8th spot. And what the Cavaliers are eyeing, and they still have a game on Friday at Bennett County, the number 4 seed, but what the Cavaliers are eyeing is avoiding the 8th spot, getting into that 6-7 hole, and right now they would be the 6th seed lined up to play this team we're about ready to bring you, the Platte-Geddes Honkers. But if the Cavaliers are on the same side of the bracket as Rapid City Christian, that means the Cavaliers do not have to travel halfway across the state of South Dakota to play either in Platte or Bennett County. And so obviously the Cavaliers are kind of silent fans right now of Rapid City Christian, who picked up a big 4-2 win over these Honkers last night. The way it looks right now, if St. Thomas More in their final 3 games with their third to the last game and second to the last game coming up on this Mother's Day Sunday at McKeague Field, Cavaliers could be in a position where they could be the 6 or the 7 seed and not have to go on the road to play 2 games of baseball if they want to get to the state tournament. So anyway you can make it work. The Cavaliers are fired up. They're ready to go. We'll get to the starting lineups momentarily. St. Thomas More, they have had their struggles with hitting. They lost 8-4 to Hot Springs early last week. And St. Thomas More also just really has had a hard time scoring runs. And we'll have to see if the Cavaliers can break out of their funk today. They almost have to break out now, as we are in the final week of the regular season. And then St. Thomas More, a week from tomorrow, will play either here in Rapid City if the Comets hold that number 2 seed and the Cavs hold either the 6 or the 7 seed. A split today would almost all but ensure that for STM. And if the Comets do not hang on to that number 2 position in the West River standings, then by all accounts the Cavaliers would likely be headed to Platte, a familiar destination. That's where the Cavaliers played in the 2023 regionals, a game for you that we had right here on the St. Thomas More Security First Bank Cavalier Sports Network. Well, happy Mother's Day. We love all of you moms. Also, for all of you Cavalier fans, I don't know about you, but just been absolutely ecstatic about the announcement of Robert Prevost from Chicago as the first American Pope. and really enjoyed a conversation, an interview that I had yesterday for News Radio KOTA in Rapid City that will air in different installments this week with the executive director of the Western South Dakota Catholic Foundation, our good friend Jim Kenyon, about this news with regards to Pope Leo the 14th. We found out in the last couple of days, not only is Pope Leo a baseball fan, he's a huge baseball fan. He was spotted by the cameras 20 years ago of Fox at the World Series when the Chicago White Sox beat the Houston Astros for their first title, and at that time, I think it was about 80 years. Mike Fell with you. We'll get to the lineups momentarily. It will be hot today. Obviously, we are really pulling for our equipment. We have not broadcast in this kind of heat very often in the 5-year history of the Security First Bank Cavalier Sports Network. We are in a covered press box setting. That's the good news, but no air conditioning. That's the bad news. And the sun is kind of making its way into our broadcast booth to a degree, and doing my best to keep the camera and the computer away from sunlight, and just doing the best that I can in that department. Well, let's go ahead and look at the starting lineups. Actually, before we do that, we have some messages to bring along to you from our friends at Security First Bank. They make this broadcast possible, and we sure appreciate Security First Bank. That's where the Rapid City Catholic School System does their banking. Security First Bank reminds you to swing for the fences when it comes with school spirit. The Security First Bank Cavalier debit card lets you show your pride every time that you swipe. Step up to the plate and get your Cavalier debit card today. Member FDIC. Big dreams start with a solid foundation. Build your future with a construction loan from Security First Bank. Local experts, fast answers, customized solutions. Let's build something great. Security First Bank is an equal housing lender. NMLS number 505011. Spring into your next chapter with a home loan from Security First Bank. Whether you're buying, building, or refinancing, they're here to help make it happen. Equal housing lender. Security First Bank is an equal housing lender. NMLS number 505011. We also want to thank our great sponsors that include Monument Health. I saw trainer Kristen Whitley just a moment ago. Monument Health is our official sports athletic training partner of St. Thomas More Athletics. Other great sponsors for our broadcast today here on Mother's Day. How about for Mother's Day, you take Mom to Culver's or just get her whatever she wants. She deserves it. Culver's Restaurant in Rapid City. If you're thinking about taking Mom out to a more fancy dinner tonight, well, of course, there's Ruby Tuesdays. That's where the Cavaliers eat. Other great sponsors include Wautiki Water Park. Today's kind of a good day to go to the water park, I suppose. Rapid City Shields, Quinn Construction, South Dakota National Guard, Stacy Nelson, Remax Realtor, Wrangell Construction, The Market in Tuscany Square, Dave Remmel, State Farm Insurance Agent, like a good neighbor, Dave is there, Courtesy Subaru, and Doctors Tucker, Kudrna, Howick, and Young of the Rapid City Eye Care Center. Well, we are moments away from getting you first pitch. This is game one of 3 games today. This will be our only broadcast, and we have a very special treat for you in the Security First Bank post-game show today, as I will not only be talking with Coach Jeff Peckney, which I always do after the game, but also we will be joined by the 2 seniors playing in their final afternoon of Cavalier baseball, at least in the regular season. We told you in our opening remarks about a high probability of the Cavs being able to play the regionals at home inside the Rapid City Christian regional bracket. But the way it looks right now, we are going to have seniors Chris Cronin and Brian Bowers join us in the broadcast booth with Coach Jeff Peckney, and that'll be a lot of fun. We'll have an extended Security First Bank Cavalier Sports Network postgame for all of you great fans. Well, it's a hot day for baseball. Let's go ahead and check the temperature reading here as we get close to first pitch. Currently, it is 91 degrees. We're headed for a high temperature of 93. It's not going to cool off too much throughout the day. In fact, at 5 o'clock, it just moved up to 92, and now they're saying it'll get to 94. But in the middle of this game, we will be in the mid-90s here in Rapid City. We want to say hello to any of you tuning in from Platte-Geddes or from White Lake or any of the surrounding communities for PGDC WL. You have to like the Honkers tradition here. They have not only a goose, but they have a goose with a lot of chains. They even have a name for this lucky goose named Jared, and the goose is in the on-deck circle. And let's see if we can zero in and show you this goose. I know we can do it, but this is the pride of PGCL baseball. You can see through the fence. There it is. There's the goose, and the pride of the goose here at McKeague Field today. Wouldn't be Honker baseball if they didn't bring Jared, the goose, with them on the road. Well, it's Mother's Day. It's always a special day. A lot of those moms, baseball moms, it's a special calling. You're doing everything from constant laundry to making sure the boys are at practice, making sure that they're also getting their homework done and everything else. And of course, baseball is a way of working up a mighty appetite. All of this is part of being a baseball mom. And, it seems like if you talk to most baseball dads, they have somewhat of a charmed life. Many times they're a coach or they're a little more direct hands-on with the team. But where would we be without our moms? And on this Mother's Day, we celebrate all of you mothers. Let's also take time to pray to our Virgin Mother, Mother Mary, and let's be mindful of Mary on this Mother's Day. Well, the Cavaliers are doing their infield practice right now. Let's go ahead and get to the starting lineups for the PGDC WL Honkers. I want to just say Platte-Geddes Honkers. That's probably what I'll say instead of trying to put together 6 alphabetical letters in a row, which I struggle to do coherently if I'm playing Scrabble, let alone broadcasting a baseball game on the fly. Let's go ahead and look at the starting lineups. Jeff Kuiper does a great job every year with the PGDC WL, Platte-Geddes Honkers. Maddox Van Zee will lead off and will play first base for the Honkers lineup. Batting second, manning the shortstop position, Jai Bailey. Batting third and starting for the Honkers this afternoon on this hot first game of a doubleheader for both teams is Kenyon Kuiper. Also in the cleanup spot, it's Keaton Christensen. Keaton is behind the plate as the catcher. Batting fifth, the Honkers' number 5 hole hitter is Ashton Krumvita. He is playing left field. Batting sixth, playing second base, Hayden Sprick. Batting seventh for PGDCWL is third baseman Asher Cott. Batting eighth and playing in center field, patrolling center field, is Quincy Stevens. And batting ninth for the PGDCWL Honkers, coached by Jeff Kuiper and assisted by Rob Hoffman and Brian Oberbrockling, is Garth Moss. Garth is the right fielder. So for the Honkers, it's Van Zee, Bailey, and Kuiper, Christensen, Krumvita, Sprick, Cott, Stevens, and Moss. And on the mound is ace Kenyon Kuiper. For the St. Thomas More Cavaliers, leading off will be Ben Bowers, the second baseman. Batting second, patrolling center field today, junior Hayden Heeg. Batting third and playing shortstop, it's Graydon Juvie. Batting fourth and playing left field, Chris Cronin. It's senior day for Chris. And again, we'll talk to Chris and Brian Bowers in our Security First Bank Cavalier Sports Network postgame interview, along with head coach Jeff Peckney. Batting fifth is starting pitcher Rush Turner. Batting sixth is the third baseman manning the hot corner, Joe Giacometto, on this hot day. Batting seventh and playing first is Cole Nielsen. Batting eighth, playing right field, Brian Bowers. And behind the plate, in the number 9 spot today, Isaiah Quasney. So for the Cavaliers, it's Ben Bowers, Heeg, and Juvie, Cronin, Turner, Giacometto, Nielsen, Brian Bowers, and Quasney. And on the hill for the St. Thomas More Cavaliers, wearing their home white uniforms as they take the field with the blue numerals and the blue Holy Cross insignia across the front, and the STM logo on the hat, is Rush Turner. And see Rush's dad's here today, and we're going to have ourselves an exciting baseball game. The number 3 seed in the Western South Dakota Class B class rankings, point standings, I should say. The PGDCWL Honkers taking on currently the number 6 seed, the St. Thomas More Cavaliers. Cavs trying to get to 500 with a win in this one. If the Cavs could sweep a doubleheader against Lee Deadwood later today and get a win in this first game, they would be in a very good spot to avoid the 8 seed. They would all but avoid the 8 seed and would not have to face the prospect of a regional at winner next Monday. The Cavaliers, as we mentioned, a very legitimate possibility of finishing in the 6-7 spot in the point standings in the West. And if they do, and the Comets hang on to the number 2 seed, which they narrowly hold the point standings advantage over these Honkers, then the Cavs may avoid a road trip, may get to play in the visiting dugout a time or two on their own home field. And we are certainly rooting for some home cooking on Regional Monday, May the 19th. And wherever the Cavaliers play their regional games, we will be there here on the Security First Bank Cavalier Sports Network. Well, it's time to play ball. This Mother's Day Classic set to begin. Rush Turner to throw to Maddox Van Zee, and we are underway here on Mother's Day 2025. Mike Fell with you on the Security First Bank Cavalier Sports Network. Maddox Van Zee ahead in the count 1-0. Second pitch over for a strike. I think there was some conjecture as to which pitcher was going to draw the start, and Coach Peckney talked to his guys, and he says committed to Rush Turner for game 1, and Brian Bowers will pitch his final regular season home game around 5 o'clock today against Lee Deadwood. Count now goes to 1-2 as Van Zee fouls off a pitch. Here Turner steps off the mound. Now he gets ready to lock in. Here comes the 1-2 pitch to Maddox, and that pitch is low and goes behind Quasney for ball 2. Count is even at 2-2. In case you missed it last night, I know I didn't miss it, neither did many of my friends. My San Diego Padres set a record for the largest margin of victory and tied a franchise single game hits record when they had 24 hits and put up 21 runs, shutting out. There's a walk issued to Maddox Van Zee to lead off the game for the Honkers. But the Padres able to win 21-0 over the Colorado Rockies, who are an abysmal 6-33 coming into their third game of this weekend series against the Padres, the first place Padres. Turner now facing Jai Bailey. Pitch to Bailey over for strike one. Maddox Van Zee at first base. Nielsen holding him on there. We're just underway. Game one, our only game of the day here on this Mother's Day on the Security First Bank Cavalier Sports Network. There's a swing and a miss. Strike two, and Turner for the second consecutive sequence has worked ahead of the opposing hitter for Platte-Geddes. Here comes the pitch. That ball is drilled in the hole for a single. Ball handled smoothly in left field by Chris Cronin, and there are two on with no out. Good piece of hitting there by Jai Bailey. There was no way with where that ball was hit on that seeing eye single that Bailey wasn't going to pick up the trip to first base. And now Coach Peckney coming out, signaling towards right field to talk to Rush Turner, and we may have a pitching change, believe it or not. I know it's early, but keep in mind, Coach Peckney said to me that the Cavs really need to win one of these two games. And if Rush doesn't have his best stuff in this game early, you wonder what the thought process might be for Coach Jeff Peckney. Coach Peckney, by the way, went up to Billings, got to see his daughter's lacrosse team play really well, and his daughter, he said, I think had 5 goals yesterday. That's awesome. Coach Peckney's daughter goes to STM. Here we go. Kenyon Kuiper, the cleanup, the number 3 hitter, takes the pitch and drills it into right field. That's going to score a run, maybe 2. 1 run scores, and it's 1-0. PGDCWL, the Honkers, strike first here in Rapid City. Kenyon Kuiper with a no-doubt single to right center field drives home Maddox Van Zee, the leadoff hitter, who was behind in the count when this inning began. So there's nobody out. Runners at the corners now. Jai Bailey at third base, Kenyon Kuiper at first in a 1-0 game. Perfect start for the Honkers on this Mother's Day, game one of 2 games for both of these squads. After this game, the Honkers will take on Lee Deadwood, and then the Cavaliers, trying to do their best to stay out of the heat of the day, will step in. There's a foul ball that Cole Nielsen can't get to, and the count goes to 0-2 to Keaton Christensen, the cleanup hitter for the Honkers. So for St. Thomas More, they would love to get a win today. 2 would be exceptionally good news. Here comes the pitch. That's strike 3 as Keaton Christensen is the first out of the game and the first strikeout victim for Rush Turner. That time Turner, with an off-speed delivery, was able to really pull the string on the Honkers cleanup hitter, Keaton Christensen. Now Ashton Crumvita is up to bat, the number 5 hitter for Platte-Geddes, DC White Lake. Here comes a pitch to Crumvita, and that pitch is low and away, and easily stealing second base is Kenyon Kuiper. And now the Honkers have two men in scoring position with just one out, and the double play grounder is taken out of effect. Crumvita ahead in the count 1-0, waits for the pitch from Turner. There's a swing and a miss. Seems as though Turner, since Coach Peckney came out and had a conversation, has settled things down a bit and is locating and showing more confidence in his off-speed stuff. Here comes a 1-1 pitch. That ball hit right at Juvie, the shortstop. Only played at first for the second out, and that drives home a run. That's a fielder's choice RBI. Out number 2. That's a 6-3 putout of Ashton Crumvita, but he has a productive at-bat, bringing in Jai Bailey from third base. Kuiper advances from second to third on the play. So now there are 2 outs in this 2-0 ball game, and here comes Hayden Sprick. There's a swing and a miss by Sprick. He wanted all of that one. Cavaliers trying to limit damage to only 2 runs here in the visitors' half of the first inning on a 92-degree day at first pitch for baseball. There's a outside pitch. Count goes to 1-1. You can see out in the distance, I don't think we can see it, but signs of early stages of a thunderhead. There's a blooper, and they're going to, I think, call the play off, or are they going to keep it? That ball was hit in front of the catcher, landed in the grass, and they're going to say that's a base hit. That ball landed between Turner and Kwasny. Neither player even touched the ball until Hayden Sprick was at first base with an RBI infield single, and Kenyon Kuiper able to cross home plate from third base. Now it's 3-0, and that's just a lack of awareness on the part of STM. That should have been the third out of the inning, and I don't know exactly if Kwasny assumed it was a foul ball or was going to spin foul, or if Turner thought Kwasny had it. It was definitely the catcher's play to be made there, right on the edge of the dirt and the grass in front of home plate. So it's 3-0 now. That was not an error. That was an infield hit. It's just, if you could do it all over again, you'd have to think that would have been a 2-3 put out at first and the final out of the inning. Instead, the inning continues. Asher Cott is now the hitter. He's the number 7 man in the Honkers order. He has a 1-1 count, 2 out. At second base, it's Hayden Sprick. Sprick able to advance on a pass ball a moment ago. Kwasny really struggling early on here behind the plate. And you can understand playing catcher when it's in the 90s, when you don't do it in practice or do it during a game, and you have all that equipment on you, that's hard. This is not a day for the faint of heart to be a catcher for either team in this game. It is now 2-2. Cott waits for the 2-2 pitch with a man at second and 2 outs. Honkers out to an impressive early 3-0 advantage. There's a pitch by Turner. It's high, and the count is now full. Nowhere to go with this pitch. The first base is open. It's a 3-0 lead for Platte-Geddes, DC White Lake. Here comes a pitch. Chopper to Turner. He climbs the ladder, comes up with the ball, and runs and pitches the ball. Shovels the ball to Nielsen for the third out in the inning, and that retires the side on a 1-3 grounder put out. But the PGDC WL Honkers strike for 3 important runs to start this ball game. There were 3 runs. They were earned on a total of 3 hits. There were no errors, and there was 1 man left on base. Through the opening half inning here on this Mother's Day Sunday, it's the Honkers 3 and the Cavs coming up. We're so glad you're with us. Let's go ahead and check the scores. And a big shocker in Denver so far. Hunter Goodman comes up with a 3-run home run in the bottom of the first inning, and the Colorado Rockies leading San Diego 3-1. Nick Pivetta gives up a long ball, something he has not been surrendering much in recent days. We do have one final from earlier today in the early game. It was the New York Mets 6, the Chicago Cubs 2. Mets are playing some great baseball. They're currently 3 games ahead of the Phillies in the NL East. What a great signing Juan Soto was for the Mets. And the Houston Astros in the 4th inning leading Cincinnati 4-0. Brewers and Rays tied at 2 in the 4th, and tied at 1 in the 4th. It's the Marlins and the White Sox. Twins trail the Giants 4-3. That game through 5 innings at Target Field. Twins trying to get above 500 today and get a sweep of the San Francisco Giants, the 3rd team in the NL West. And here we go. We are ready to go. The Cavaliers leadoff hitter today is Ben Bowers. Ben, the second baseman, watches the first 2 pitches sail outside. Kenton Kuiper is the starting pitcher for the Honkers this afternoon. Staked to an early 3-0 lead. St. Thomas More did not commit any errors in that first inning, but there were some mental miscues that may have been able to keep the score a little closer than 3-0. It's now a count. It goes to 3-1. There's a swing and a miss, and that's strike 3. Nope. Did Bowers get a piece of it? Yes, he did. So Brian Bowers stays alive. I want to thank all of you for making us a part of your Mother's Day Sunday, and there's ball 4. Bowers able to work the count, draw a leadoff base on balls, and now Hayden Heeg is the hitter. Hayden, who has really done a fine job this season patrolling center field, looking to come through here in the 2-hole. There's a swing and a slight sound of aluminum. Count is 0-1 to Hayden Heeg. On deck is the very speedy and athletically gifted Graydon Juvie. There's a throw back to first. Picking up some dust is Ben Bowers. Cavs need to be careful. They don't want to be picked off here. They need base runners, and they need to match what the Honkers put up on the scoreboard. If you're just joining us, the PGDCWL Honkers put up 3 runs in the first inning. The key hit there was Kenyon Kuiper's single that really opened the floodgates for the Honkers. And there's a swing and a miss, strike 3. Hayden Heeg is retired with a strikeout. Well, I mentioned this at the outset. The Cavaliers have not been swinging the hot bats the last 2 weeks. Coach Peckney said after the game that was completed Tuesday night that we had for you against Belle-Fourche that the Cavaliers are in a funk. And being in a funk means strikeouts, and that's really what we saw when Kane Howard and Belle-Fourche put up 11 strikeouts against the Cavs in that victory on Tuesday night that we had for you. Count is now 1-0 to Graydon Juvie, and Juvie with a hack knocks the ball back to the screen, and the count is 1-1 to Graydon Juvie. It is hot, very hot. I'm standing, kind of trying to move around. I'm not feeling lightheaded, but I'm not feeling normal. I might have to lose the tie one of these days. There's a throw down to second, and Bowers is caught stealing. Great play there. That's a 2-4 put out, and Bowers makes the second out of the bottom of the first at second base. So now no one is on base for STM. Graydon Juvie heading the count 2-1, hits a dribbler to second, throw to first in time, and that'll do it. So working around a leadoff walk to Ben Bowers, the Honkers able to face the minimum and keep the Cavaliers off the scoreboard. There were no runs, no hits, no errors, and no men left on base. We go to the second inning. The PGDC WL Honkers 3, St. Thomas More nothing. You're watching Security First Bank coverage of the Cavalier Sports Network. We're so glad you're with us. Enjoyed going to Mass earlier today, and I think Father Ryan Christensen gave a great homily as always, and was talking about being at Terra Sancta when the news of Robert Prevost coming out on the balcony happened, and I think there was kind of a workshop going on, and it's one of those big moments that we'll never forget where we were when we heard the news. The first American Pope, and it's very personal to me, not because I know Pope Leo. I've never met Pope Leo, but it's personal to me because my aunt grew up on a farm, the Fell family farm in western Iowa, and she went on to serve the Lord, follow Christ as a missionary nun in Afghanistan, Papua New Guinea, and Ghana. And her story within the church is very similar to Pope Leo's story. I have so much admiration for those missionaries. There's a floater caught by Hayden Heeg, a little can of corn to retire Quincy Stevens to lead things off here in the second inning. We'll see if Rush Turner can get into a bit of a groove. Turner has pitched very well this year. He has been the top pitcher on Coach Peckney's staff through this first month and a half of the season. Such a short season. We will have regional baseball for you next Monday, and it may be right here. There's a blooper that lands beyond Nielsen at first base. That's a easy single for Garth Moss. And that was just one of those bloopers. Didn't go very far, didn't have to. Lands about 2 yards inside of the chalk down the right field line. And now the Honkers with a man on with one out. And now we flip to the top half of the order. And there's a pitch to Maddox Van Zee. Cronin seems to have it, and he makes the grab routinely in left field. Good catch there by Chris Cronin. Chris is really going to be missed. He's played so well this year. What a great senior, great guy. And he did a fine job as the actor playing Eddie Albert's old character, the peddler, as part of the performing cast of Oklahoma. There's a pitch that's fouled away. Ball lands on the concrete in front of the concession stand. Jai Bailey, the hitter now. Bailey singled, scored his first time up back in the first. Here comes the next pitch to Jai Bailey. And that pitch is outside for a ball. Well, I have decided I am going to sit down for a while. They do have extra chairs here. They don't have things like Wi-Fi, but they do have 3 chairs, and that has really come in handy today because I've been able to put the broadcast equipment completely out of the hot sunshine. It's been good. Two-one count now to Jai Bailey, or two down, man at first in the person of Garth Moss. Here comes a 2-2 pitch to Moss from Turner. Turner taking a lot of time in between pitches on this hot day. Here comes a pitch. That ball swatted into left center field. It's got a long ways to go to get there. He dives for it. Comes up empty, and that's going to score a run. So the Honkers take a 4-0 lead. Jai Bailey able to come through with a single, and I guess we'll call it an E8. And Bailey is at second. Bailey scores. Kuiper able to come through on the Bailey comes through cross home plate on the air. Kenyon Kuiper picks up his second RBI of the day, and it's 4-0. Now up to bat, it's Keaton Christensen, or rather Kenyon Kuiper. Kuiper hits it hard all the way to the fence. That will score a run as well, and that'll be a triple. So there is a triple for Kenyon Kuiper, and the Cavaliers now in big trouble early in this one, as Turner has given up a pair of extra base hits in this inning. It's now 5-0. The hitter for the Honkers is Keaton Christensen. He struck out against Turner his first time up. This time he gets a good swing on a pitch, but comes around a little early, a little late on that one. Here comes the pitch to Christensen from Turner. That ball is looped, but just foul outside the right field chalk line. St. Thomas More down 5-0 early. It hasn't looked good so far. Here comes a pitch now to Christensen. At third base is Kenyon Kuiper. St. Thomas More yet to collect a hit. Being out hit 5-0 so far, and doing the best they can so far. All right. Turner right now just taking a very, very long amount of time between pitches. There's a ball hit right past Giacometto into left field. That'll score a run. Christensen comes through with his first base hit of the game. And just like that, it is 6-0 as Kuiper scores from third base. And the Cavaliers, with their ace on the mound, Russ Turner, really struggling. They've given up 3 runs in each of the first 2 innings. And this inning's not over yet. There are 2 outs, man at first. And there's a throw back to first. Easily getting back in time is Christensen. We will be with you for regionals next Monday. If the Cavaliers are here, we'll be here. If they're far away, we'll be here. It is so hot right now in this booth. It's hard to stay awake. It's so hot. And there's a ball slap past the shortstop. Juvie into left center field. And now there are runners at the corners. Christensen goes from third to first to third. Ashton Crumvita comes through with a base hit. Now it is coming up to bat. Here comes a pitch from Turner. It's high and outside. Count goes to 1-0. Turner working very slowly on this super hot day. We are in the low to mid 90s here at McKeag Field. Mike Fell with you on the Security First Bank Cavalier Sports Network. There's a floater to center. Hayden has it measured, makes the grab. Hayden Heeg retires Hayden Sprick. That's Hayden on Hayden there. Cavs win that battle. But the Honkers really gave themselves an impressive lead. They now lead 6-0. Honkers scored a total of 3 runs. And they do so on 5 hits. There were no errors. Well, we get ready to go again. Warming up, it's Kenyon Kuiper. And we get set to bring you the bottom half, the home half of the second inning. St. Thomas More trailing 6-0. It is hot. The pitchers are working slowly. And right now we've got a decent crowd, but they are being affected, I think, by this heat just as much as we are as broadcasters. There's a pitch over for a strike. Count starts out 0-1 to Chris Cronin. Chris Cronin, and it's his senior day. There's a pitch over for a strike. Chris Cronin trying to close out, trying to get on base against Kuiper, and he does. Good piece of hitting by the senior on senior day. Chris Cronin, I'm sure playing for his mom, Rebecca, who's here, and she's a very proud mom. And, of course, Rebecca works in the business and development office. She's involved with Rapid City Christian, or Rapid City Catholic Schools, I should say. Now here comes Rush Turner. Turner hits a squibber towards third, throw to second, is in time to retire the lead runner. So Turner reaches on a fielder's choice. Chris Cronin is... Now here comes Joe Giacometto. A lot of time between pitches. Here comes a pitch to Giacometto. Goes to the third baseman across the diamond in time. Giacometto retired 5-3. Outstanding play made that time for the second out of the inning by Asher Cott. Wow. That was actually Yeah, good play there. Now here comes Brian Bowers. I think that's Bowers. It could be Kwasny. Can double check on that one. And there's a pop-up, and it is caught by the first baseman. And that'll do it for the bottom of the second inning. There were no runs. There were two hits. There were no errors. And now Isaiah Kwasny will lead off in the third inning. Now we flip over to recap that bottom of the second inning. There were no runs for the Cavaliers. There were a pair of hits, no errors, and there were no men left on base. Kenyon Kuiper off to a good start. STM trying to get something going with their bats, something going with their offense. Nothing coming easy. And when you're in a collective state of frustration, it's not uncommon that you really start to press. And I think that might be the case the last couple games for the Cavs. Rush Turner getting in his warm-up tosses. And we get set to bring you the third inning. Due up for the PGDC WL Honkers, Asher Cott, Quincy Stevens, and Garth Moss, the bottom third of the order. If anybody gets on base, Maddox Van Zee. You're watching Security First Bank coverage of the Cavalier Sports Network. It is oppressively hot outside and in the broadcast booth. Doing my best to make sure the equipment stays monitored and as cool as possible. And I'll be candid, I am fighting this heat too. Count is 1-1. I handle hot weather well, so I'm going to bet on me to make it through this game okay, but it's still a lot of heat. There's a foul back to the screen for ball one. Now the count goes to 2-2 to Asher Cott. Can Asher, for the third consecutive time, be a leadoff man that reaches the base paths against all right. Here comes a 2-2 pitch from Turner to Cott. And that pitch is high and it bounces away from the glove. Count remains at 2-2. Congratulations last night to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Julius Randle, Anthony Edwards, T-Wolves get a big win on the road against the Steph Curry-less Warriors. There's a grounder handled well by Giacometto. He throws to Nielsen at first to retire the leadoff hitter. And for the first time in 3 innings, St. Thomas More able to get the leadoff man to start things off in the visiting half of an inning. Here comes Quincy Stevens, the hitter. Quincy flew out to center his first time up. Here comes the 0-1 pitch to Stevens, and that ball is looped off the glove of Bowers into center field. That'll be a base hit. That time, Ben Bowers at second base almost came up with that one. You can see he's frustrated with himself, but that would be considered a hit if he wouldn't have made that play. Count is now, we're getting ready to start the third at bat of this inning. Garth Moss is due up. There's a throw down to second, not in time. Kwasny is, I think, unofficially only gunned down one runner behind the plate so far this year. Long time between pitches. And that ball gets away from Kwasny, and taking third base on the play is Stevens. So now there is a runner with one out at third base. Count is 1-1 to Garth Moss. Garth, the number 9 hitter for the Honkers, waits for the pitch from Rush. Here it comes. There's a chopper, and it is foul. Now batting, it's Garth Moss. A lot of time between pitches. Here comes the 1-2 pitch from Turner. That's a swing and a miss. Strike 3, and 2 men are down. Turner pitching by far his best inning of the first 3 for STM. Now batting, it's Max Van Zee. Max 1 for 2 today. Scored back in the first. Count is 1-1 to Maddox Van D. Wonder if he was named after the professor, Greg Maddox. Here comes the next pitch, and that ball is drilled into right field on the ground with an RBI single attached. And scoring is Stevens, and reaching first base. Maddox Van Zee, the hitter. Actually, Van Zee a moment ago had the RBI single. Honkers have scored in every inning. So far in this game, it's 7-0 in favor of PGDCWL, which comes in currently number 3 in the West River point standings. Jai Bailey, the hitter now. Bailey 2 for 2 with a pair of singles, and racing down to second, easily stealing the bag, is Van Zee. And Jai Bailey will now get to hit with a player in scoring position. There's a pitch, and it's chopped foul towards third base by Bailey. Count is now 2-1. Jai Bailey trying to get off to a 3-3 start here on this Mother's Day. Glad to have all of you Cavs fans watching and all you Honkers fans watching. Comes the pitch to Bailey. Bailey fouls it back to the screen, and we'll do it all over again. 2-2 count to Jai Bailey. At second base, it's Maddox Van Zee. Here comes the pitch. That ball drilled towards Giacometto inside the bag. Runners at the corners now for the Honkers. Jai Bailey with a very lengthy at-bat. Able to get a single off of Joe Giacometto at third. And reaching a milestone of sorts. All right, here we go. Kenyon Kuiper now the hitter. 2 on. Van Zee's at third. Bailey's at first. Kuiper 2 for 2 today with a single and a triple. And a pair of RBIs, and now running down to second without any resistance is Joe Bailey reaching second. There's a pitch. Ball hit to Giacometto. Throw to Nielsen in time to retire the side. Kuiper is erased for the first time this afternoon, but the Honkers, for the third straight inning, able to score some runs. This time, the Honkers score 1 run. It was the product of 3 hits. There were no errors. And there were 2 men left on base. Well, what a nice day for baseball. If you like a hot day. If you don't, it's not your day. If you're a mom, it's definitely your day. We're so glad you moms are with us. And we now go to the bottom of the third inning. Want to thank our friends at Security First Bank. They remind you that a strong team needs solid defense on the field and in life. Security First Insurance offers health and life coverage to protect what matters most. Security First Insurance, coverage for the win. Insurance products are not FDIC insured, have no bank guarantee, and may lose value. And on a hot day like this, you got to go to Culver's. Culver's proudly sponsors our Cavaliers. And now let's get ready to go in the third inning. Cavs trailing 7-0. They will play 2 games today. Their second game of the day will be against Lee Deadwood around 5. We will not have that for you. On this super hot day, we just don't want to stretch the equipment out for 5, 6, 7 hours. We're just going to do 1 game. It's this one. And then we will be back with you for regionals wherever those games are played. Of course, it's a single elimination semifinal and regional final format. 3 games are played. No team can play more than 2 games. You lose once and it's over. And if you can get through the regional on that Monday night, you're going wild because you're going to state to the Birdcage in Sioux Falls, the home of the Canaries. The leadoff hitter is Isaiah Kwasny. He draws a leadoff walk. Now batting for St. Thomas More. Or check that. That wasn't Kwasny. That was Brian Bowers a moment ago that drew that walk. Now Kwasny's up to bat. First at bat of the game for Kwasny. After this plate appearance, the Cavs will have gone through the order once against Kenyon Kuiper, who draws a swing and a miss, strike 2. Kuiper throws pretty hard. He's a left-hander, and of course left-handers always present a myriad of challenges for the opposing hitter. There's a pitch, and an opposing right-handed hitter. There's a swing and a miss. Here comes the 1-2 pitch to Kwasny from Kenyon Kuiper. And there's a swing and a miss. He gets out in front of it. Ball gets away. Throw down to second. They're going to get the lead runner. And it's a double play. Kwasny is out. And the throw down to second. Some very heads-up baseball by catcher Keaton Christensen. He throws down to second to get Bowers. So that's going to be a 2-4 putout. Bowers makes the second out on the double play. That's a 2-4 double play. Kwasny was a strikeout victim. The second strikeout victim unofficially of this game. And now the bases are empty with 2 outs for Ben Bowers. Well, the Cavaliers right now, they are just really in an offensive funk. Their timing is off. Their confidence is not where it was earlier in the season. And it's just really a portrait of frustration right now if you're a Cavaliers fan. Here comes the pitch, a swing and a miss, strike 3, and Bowers goes down. So Kenyon Kuiper works his way through 3 innings of play. Only faces 10 Cavaliers, and we have a 7-0 lead in favor of the PGDCWL Honkers from Platte-Geddes, another pair of communities, and White Lake. And what a start it has been for Kenyon Kuiper and his teammates. Honkers right now playing great baseball and really looking probably with a chip on their shoulder to quote-unquote get right after they were taken down by Christian 4-2 last night. Recapping the 3rd inning, there were no runs, there were no hits, there were no errors, and there were no men left on base. We have played 3 innings of this 7-inning game on this hot afternoon with temperatures soaring into the mid-90s on Mother's Day 2025. The Honkers will come to the plate momentarily with Keaton Christensen set to lead things off. It'll be the middle of the order against Rush Turner. Cavaliers down 7-0. And they have to be mindful of the fact they could get knocked out of this game earlier than 7 innings if they're down by 5 or down by 10 after 5 innings. This game will be called at that point. Still a lot of baseball to go, we hope, for the Cavaliers in this first game on the senior day 2025. There's a pitch to Christensen. He gulps one to right field. It's caught for the first out of the inning. Good grab there in right field by Brian Bowers, one of the 2 seniors on this Coach Peckney coach squad. So 1 down to lead things off in the 4th. And now here comes Ashton Kramvita with a RBI fielder's choice back in the 1st. He hits it hard. Juvie has it. Throw to first is in time. Good play there by Graydon Juvie at short. Now Hayden Sprick comes up to bat. Hayden 1 for 2 today with an RBI single. The Honkers, when they got 3 runs in the 1st inning, they really set the tone for this game. And the Honkers have yet to look back. Here comes the first pitch to Sprick, and that's high for a ball. After this game, the Lee Deadwood Gold Diggers will start playing games here at McKeag Field. They'll play PGDCWL in the 2nd game of this triangular today, and then Lee Deadwood will play St. Thomas More in the nightcap game that will start around 5. We will not have that for you. We originally were going to bring you a doubleheader at 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock, but those plans changed when the weather forecast was crystallized. Just don't want to wear out this equipment that has to make it through all of the seasons in one piece. Yeah, when you deal with electronics, you want to be at room temperature. You don't want to be at 95 or 100 or 105 degree heat, which we are at today. So minimum exposure. We added this Mother's Day broadcast from our original schedule. We just thought this was too big of a day to miss. Here's a pitch. It's inside, and drawing a 2-out walk is Hayden Sprick for the Honkers. Now Asher Cott is due up to hit. Asher looking for his first hit of the afternoon. He's 0 for 2. Mike Fell with you, coming to you live from McKeague Field in Rapid City. So glad to have you with us today. Taking off is Spritt. Long throw down to second, not in time, and there's a stolen base. Hayden Spritt with the Honkers' 4th stolen base of the day. So now Spritt is in scoring position with 2 gone for Asher Cott. Asher ahead in the count, 1-0. On deck, it's the dangerous Quincy Stevens. And there's a base hit right between second base and short. Here comes a possible play at the plate. He can't get it to the home plate area in enough time to stop Spritt from scoring from second base. And Asher Cott comes through with a 2-out RBI single right up the middle. That's Cott's first hit and first ribby of the afternoon. And that's the first run of the game for Hayden Spritt. And now the Honkers have scored in all 4 of the innings in which they've come to the plate. And they lead 8-0 on the road here in Rapid City, South Dakota today. Cott now is at first base, a threat to run. Stevens, the hitter. Stevens hits it high. It's playable, we think. Nope, it lands in foul territory beyond the range of senior Chris Cronin in left field. So we've got a pair of outfielders playing today in senior day. Cronin playing left and Brian Bowers playing right. The outfield defense overall has been a strength for STM. Could really come into play when we hit regionals next Monday. Count is now 0-2 to Quincy Stevens. Here comes the pitch, and there's a swing and a miss, strike 3. And Rush Turner able to record his 3rd strikeout in 4 innings of work, and able to strand Cott at first base. But the PGDCWL Honkers add yet another run. It was earned on 1 hit and no errors, and there was 1 man left on base. We have played 3.5. We're halfway through this ball game, officially halfway through this ball game, and it's Platte-Geddes, DC White Lake 8, St. Thomas More 0. This is the Security First Bank Cavalier Sports Network. Let's go ahead and check some major league scores on this super hot Mother's Day afternoon. See if my Padres have bounced back at all. No, they are down 6-1. Padres shut out the Rockies 21-0 last night, making history. They beat the Rockies 13-9, but had a much larger lead than that on Friday night. But the Rockies, as is often the case, they don't easily give up a sweep when they're at Coors Field. They lead by 5. But that's not a safe lead if you're the Rockies. But you can say this about the Rockies. The Rockies' bullpen is actually probably the strongest part of the team they have. Twins, by the way, leading the Giants 5-4. In Kansas City, the Red Sox have a 3-1 lead over the Royals in a battle of winning teams. And the Rangers blanking the Tigers in the 9th inning, 6-0. What a story Detroit has been. The Motor City Kitties, they have really come to life this year. Here we go. We are starting the bottom of the 4th inning. And Kenyon Kuiper out for his 4th inning of duty. Hayden Heeg to lead things off for STM. Comes a pitch to Heeg, and that ball is fouled out of play onto the berm. We'll see if any little kids on this hot day are around to chase the ball down. I was at the concession stand, and they were talking about how nobody was buying hot dogs today. Well, when it's this hot, one's appetite is really not in motion. The good Lord gave us this ability to not be hungry when it gets this hot. You have to really be without food to yearn for something to eat on a day like this. It's, of course, not a good idea to drink alcoholic beverages on a day like this if you are of age. It's not good for you when it's this hot. 3-2 count. There's a ball hit well to left center, and that'll drop in for a leadoff hit. Hayden Heeg on base, and let's see if the Cavs can get a rally going. Who can forget earlier this year the Cavaliers, they were down 4-0. Then they were down in the 7th, 7-5, and they rallied for a dramatic 8-7 victory. That was my favorite game of the season. Trying to remember what game that was. Let me check my scorebook. It was our win over the Chamberlain Kimball Lyman Cubs 2 weeks ago. And I would say this without any hesitation. This Honkers team is much better than that Cubs team. And you can tell that by the fact that Honkers so far have yet to commit an error, whereas the Cubs committed 8 errors. There's a pop-up, and there's a grab. Great play to retire Graydon Juvie by the catcher. Sliding catch by Keaton Christensen records the first out of the 4th inning. Wow, that was impressive. So glad to have all of you with us today. Mike Fell with you, coming to you live on this Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all you moms and grandmas out there who are also moms. I always think grandmas are kind of moms twice. They get those little grandbabies, and they get to say yes, and then the babies get a little antsy. They get to give them back to their daughters and say, it's your turn. Here comes a pitch. It gets away from the catcher, Christensen, and going from first to second is Hayden Heeg. Now Chris Cronin is the hitter. Cronin, who almost hit for the cycle on opening night against Custer in a game we had for you here on the Security First Bank Cavalier Sports Network. Batting with a man in scoring position. He's 1 for 1 with a single. And he fouls one back to the metal pole. What a day for baseball. It is very hot. And it's just one of those days where I don't even think a puppy dog would want to move around that much. It's just depressive. And, you know, we're not used to it yet. If it's this hot in July, it's just another day at Fitzgerald Stadium watching Post 22 or Peatling Field watching the 320 Stars. But here at McKeague Field in mid-May, when it's this hot, it is not what we are accustomed to, and life goes a little shorter. At least there are a couple of clouds blocking the sun for moments. It's not all sun all the time. Here comes a 1-2 pitch to Chris Cronin from Kuiper, and that ball fouled back. Good play there by Cronin to protect the plate. Chris Cronin did a fine job, as an actor in the school play as Eddie Albert's character from Oklahoma, the peddler. Comes a pitch, there's a swing and a miss, and Cronin goes down on strikes. So there are 2 down. That's Kenton Kuiper's 4th strikeout of this hot afternoon. Now Rush Turner, the hitter. Turner batting from the right side of the plate, trying to help his own cause. He's the starter in this one for STM, trailing 8-0. Here comes the pitch to Turner, and that pitch is high for ball 1. Well, Kenton Kuiper, he doesn't blow you away with his stuff, but he knows what he's doing, and he's really in sync with his battery mate, Keaton Christensen. And it seems as though Kuiper is one of those pitchers that definitely pitches looser and better if you stake him to a bit of a cushion. And I'd say the Honkers have given Kuiper a tremendous lead. Not only is it 8-0, but it was a 6-0 lead before the Cavs even came up to bat in the bottom of the 2nd frame. There's a chopper back to the visiting dugout. Count now 2-2 with 2 outs. Turner down to his last strike here in the bottom of the 4th. Cavs potentially in danger of getting 10-run ruled. There's a pop-up into the STM dugout. Don't see a lot of activity in the dugouts here at McKeague Field because most of the time the relief pitchers at the Class B level just slide over from one of the position spots. There's a pitch to Turner, and that's hit into center field. That's going to bring home the first run of the game. It is 8-1, and Rush Turner comes through in the clutch for the Cavaliers as Hayden Heeg scores from second, and now the shutout is by the boards that Kenton Kuiper was working on. Great job there by Rush Turner. He got ahead in the count. Then the count was even 2-2, and Turner hits the ball squarely in front of the center fielder. And now let's see if that brings new life to the Cavaliers. The Cavaliers today will play Lee Deadwood, who are loosening up. They're getting ready to play the Honkers in the game after this. But if the Cavs can get a split today, they will all but ensure not falling down to the 8th spot and having to travel to Winter in the regionals on Monday, May 19th. There's a swing and a miss, strike 3 to Giacometto, and Kuiper able to record a pair of strikeouts. But in between, the Cavs come through with a base knock that scores their first run today. The Cavaliers in the bottom of the 4th inning scored 1 run on 2 hits. There were no errors, and there was 1 man left on base. We are through 4 innings in Rapid City, South Dakota on this 94-degree afternoon. It is the PGDCWL Honkers 8 and the St. Thomas More Cavaliers 1. This is the Security First Bank Cavalier Sports Network. Want to recognize Strain Chiropractic and Branch and Vine Mental Health Center for sponsoring our Security First Bank Cavalier Sports Network broadcasts. And folks, this has really been a fun year. I can't begin to tell you how special the football season was for Coach Austin Hagen and the Cavs reaching the Final Four. How amazing the turnaround season in Michaela Watson's first year as the volleyball coach was to reach the SODAC 16 and finish 3rd in the Black Hills Conference. And it's always just an honor to broadcast Coach Candelin and Coach Hollenbeck's teams games from the beginning of the season at the REMAX Early Bird Tournament in Gillette all the way through the Sodak 16 for the girls and Faith and the regionals in Hill City. We have had so many viewers, absolutely smashing every year above the next year, above the next year, above the next year in viewership. And we can't say thanks enough to our sponsors, especially Security First Bank, who has been a part of not only bringing you this baseball season this spring, but they have brought you 5 sports this year for the 5th consecutive year. We thank Security First Bank, member FDIC. Well, Garth Moss will lead things off to start the 5th inning. Check that. I think we're going to have a pinch hitter here. We will. And that means I'm going to have to find the scorecard that just blew away when it was, we had a bit of a wind tunnel. So we'll sort this out. Give me a moment to locate. There it is. It was right underneath my foot. So the leadoff hitter is Hayes DeVries. Hayes DeVries to lead things off for Coach Jeff Kuiper and the Honkers as we begin the 5th inning of play. There's a pitch. Gets away from Kwasny. We have a new pitcher for St. Thomas More. Rush Turner closing the book on Rush. He goes 4 innings. Gives up 8 runs. They were all earned. Strikes out 3. It was a tough afternoon. Tough start especially for Rush Turner, one of the aces for STM. So DeVries able to draw a leadoff walk. And now the left-handed hitting Maddox Van Zee will be hit by a pitch. He didn't like that much as he throws his bat towards the dugout. There's a hit by pitch. Keep in mind the Honkers and the Cavaliers each have a game remaining today against the Lee Deadwood Gold Diggers, who are loosening up in the visiting dugout area and batter's cage. Jai Bailey now the hitter for the Honkers with 2 on and nobody out. Honkers may be able to deliver a technical knockout, so to speak, to the STM with a 10-run rule here. If they can plate 3 runs here in the top of the 5th and keep STM from scoring, this game will be called after 5 innings of play. Jai Bailey, the hitter, he gets hit by a pitch. Back-to-back hit by pitches. And now the bases are filled with geese. 8-1 our score. Coming up with a chance to deliver a grand slam is Kenyon Kuiper. The phrase is ducks on the pond, but considering it's the PGDC WL Honkers, we will say it is the geese on the pond as the pitcher's coach comes out for a conversation. So happy you're with us on this Mother's Day. I want to say happy Mother's Day to a bunch of mothers in my life and my wife. My wife Cassandra, mom to our 3 boys and our baby girl. My former wife, Siobhan, who is the greatest mom that our son Oliver could ever have. And shout out to Oliver, who will graduate with his undergraduate degree from Arizona State University on Thursday down in Phoenix. Excited to go see Oliver go across the stage in the Walter Cronkite Sports Journalism program there. Now back to baseball. Kenyon Kuiper, the hitter, with the bases filled with geese. There's a pitch, outside. Count is 1-0 to Kuiper. Kuiper, the son of Coach Jeff Kuiper. Kenyon, right now, stands to be the winning pitcher. Here's a swing and a miss, but the ball goes back to the screen. The runners will not attempt to score or advance. Count is 1-1 to Kenyon Kuiper. So the odds of St. Thomas More potentially seeing the Honkers again is very realistic. As the Cavs, if they can earn a split by beating Lee Deadwood, a team they didn't have much trouble against earlier. Actually, they didn't play earlier this year. That game was rained out, pardon me. But they haven't had much trouble against them in past years. And they're ahead of them right now in the point standings. Back to baseball. Kuiper hits it hard. Cronin, he's got an angle on it, makes the catch. That's a sacrifice fly. It's 9-0. That is a great job by Kenyon Kuiper to slap that ball to the deepest part of the left center field power alley. Good catch there by Kuiper, but the sacrifice fly represents the third RBI of the game for Kenyon Kuiper. Talk about helping his own cause. And he scores Hayden DeVries from third base. And it's now 9-1, and the Honkers get that run back that they yielded in the bottom part of the fourth inning. And the Honkers now have scored in every inning in this game, as there's a stolen base by Jai Bailey. The sixth stolen base on the afternoon for Platte-Geddes, DC White Lake. Maddox Van Zee is at third base. Jai Bailey's at second. These are two really big runs because, again, if Keaton Christensen, the cleanup hitter, can clean up here and bring those 2 runs home with 1 out, it'll be a 10-run lead, and then STM will have to score a run to keep the game going in the bottom of the 5th. There's a pitch, hits high. Count goes to 2-1 to Christensen. St. Thomas More going into their relief pitching core. Cooper Sales is the relief pitcher for Rush Turner. We haven't seen a lot of Cooper Sales this year. We're seeing him today. He's on in relief of Rush Turner. He has a tough situation here. There's a floater. It's caught by Ben Bowers at second for the second out of the inning. So Christensen is retired on a fly out to second base. And now here comes Ashton Crumvita. Ashton had an RBI single back in the second inning. This is a big at-bat. If Ashton can come through with a 2-run base knock, it'll be a 10-run lead, and then all the Honkers would have to do to win the game would be to keep STM from scoring in the bottom of the 5th. Otherwise, this game guaranteed to go on to the 6th, maybe 7th inning on this extremely hot day here in Rapid City. The temperature, by the way, in Rapid City at the moment is 91. It's actually been the same temperature all afternoon long. Here comes a pitch. Boy, did Crumvita get a hold of that. He sees a catch made by a heads-up pitcher or catcher warming up for Lee Deadwood. And boy, STM wishes by osmosis they could get the third out that way. Ashton Crumvita, the hitter now, behind in the count 1-2, waits for the pitch, and he's hit by a pitch. And now the bases are loaded yet again. That's 3 hit by pitches issued by relief pitcher Cooper Sales. And nobody can say that Cooper won't throw inside. The other team has the bruises to prove it. Now Hayden Sprick, the hitter, with the bases jammed and full of geese. Here comes a pitch to Hayden. There's a swing and a miss, strike one. There's some high heat on a 91-degree day by Cooper Sales. Cooper, younger brother of Post 22 ace Broden Sales, trying to shut the door and leave him loaded here in the 5th inning. There's a high pitch that's barely touched. Foul tip for strike 2. And now with the bases loaded and 2 out, to keep this game within 10 runs, here comes the 0-2 pitch to Hayden Sprick from Cooper Sales. Cooper's pitch is over for strike 3. And this game is guaranteed to continue into the 6th inning. That was a clutch strikeout with a lot of pressure on the shoulders of that young man, Cooper Sales. Well, Cooper only gives up 1 run. He issued 3 hit by pitches, but when it's all said and done, not a lot of damage. And we have a 9-1 game through 4.5 innings here at McKeague Field on the west side of Rapid City. To recap the 5th inning, the Honkers scored 1 run. That sac fly by Kenton Kuiper was a marvelous clinic on how to bring home a run from third base. There were actually no hits awarded, if you can believe it. There were no errors, and there were 3 honkers left on base. It's 9-1 in favor of PGDCWL. And we get ready to bring you the bottom of the 5th inning. Let's see if the Cavs can build on the momentum of scoring a run in the 4th inning and frustrating the Honkers moments ago. Leading things off, it'll be the bottom of the order for STM. Coach Jeff Peckney, he needs to run out to the third base box. He's got his moves on today. Cole Nielsen to lead things off. The bottom of the order set to bat for STM. These Cavaliers are competing. They never give in. It's the way it works with STM baseball. There's a chopper into the hole for a base hit. Nielsen is aboard with a leadoff single. And now Brian Bowers, one of the 2 seniors in this starting lineup here on Senior Day, will come to bat. So the Cavaliers have a Senior Day miracle comeback in them. This would be up there amongst the baseball miracles, if the Cavs could rally and pull out a win. It is hot here today. Cavs, though, playing like the boys of summer today in the middle of spring. Very grateful our equipment is holding up. This is not the kind of weather we want for our equipment, but here's a throwback to first, and ooh, that was close. Nielsen gets back. Nielsen gets his jersey dusted up pretty good. I'll tell you, Nielsen, who's one of the outstanding offensive and defensive linemen for the football team, him taking a bit of a lead. I'll get to the analogy in a moment. There's a flare-up called for and caught by the second baseman for the Honkers, Hayden Sprick, and that's 1 out. I was going to say it was kind of like that scene in Jaws when those 2 locals try to hook a roast and see if Jaws will eat the holiday roast and be claimed for prize money. It wasn't much of a lead in that situation for those fishermen, and There wasn't much of a lead there a moment ago for Cole Nielsen. I just saw Jaws, by the way, and wanted to bring up Jaws because we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of that Steven Spielberg blockbuster. The ball is stuck in the fence. How about that? That is hilarious. You see that about once every 2 or 3 years. The ball is stuck in the fence, and it's on the second level of fencing, so someone can't just go over and slap it or push it out. That's hilarious. 1 on, 1 out. Fun day at the old ballpark on Mother's Day. So I gave a shout out to my wife, Cassandra, my first wife, Siobhan, and I want to give a happy Mother's Day to my mother-in-law, who does so much for my wife and I, looks out for our kids a lot out in Wyoming. Deborah. There's a swing and a miss, and oh, look at Kwasny. He slams his bat down. He is frustrated. You have to like the intensity of Kwasny. It's not the first time we've seen him spike his batting helmet. And for the second time in as many at-bats, Kwasny goes down on Ks. Now Ben Bowers due up to hit. See if he can advance Cole Nielsen from first. And Bowers gets all of that one, hits it to right field, and it is past a diving right fielder. And that will be a single, a long single for Ben Bowers. And that moves Nielsen from first to third. Wow, maybe a faster base runner scores on that one. But good decision there. Discretion, the better part of valor, exhibited by Cole Nielsen, as he wanted to make sure that ball wouldn't be caught with a web gem in right field. There's a throw back to first, and that gets away. That'll score a run for St. Thomas More. And going from first all the way to third without any resistance is Ben Bowers. That'll be only the second error today on the Honkers. Kuiper's throw back to first, an errant throw. That'll be an E1. And scoring on the air is Cole Nielsen from third base. So now it's 9-2. And our odds of playing a full 7-inning game have gone up significantly. The Honkers had 2 opportunities with men at second and third to take a 10-run lead in the top of the 5th, but they couldn't do it. Good relief pitching by Cooper Sales. And now here we are. It's a 7-run ball game at the moment. Not close enough to where you get overly animated if you're a Cavaliers fan, but it's close enough you keep watching, that's for sure. No balls and 2 strikes to Hayden Heeg. Cavs down to their final out here in the bottom of the 5th. Cavs have pulled a little closer. It's 9-2. Big run out there at third base in the person of Nielsen. And wow! They wanted to get rid of that stuck ball. Kuiper, the left-handed starter, throws an absolute dart to dislodge the ball. That's impressive. If you want to play darts in a local tavern, you might want to bring Kuiper with you. Wow. Now Hayden Heeg waits for the 0-2 pitch after that moment of intimidation, and there's strike 3. And if Kuiper can flick a fly from a chariot horse's ear, like we just saw a moment ago, he certainly can fire in strike 3, and he does. So Heeg is down on strikes for the second time today. That's the 6th strikeout of the afternoon for Kenton Kuiper. And the Cavaliers, for the second consecutive inning, plate 1 run. There was 1 run scored. It was unearned. There was one hit, there was one big error, and there was one man left on base. We have played 5 innings here in Rapid City. It's the PGDC WL Honkers 9, the St. Thomas More Cavaliers 2. We go to the top of the 6th inning. Cooper Sales back on the mound in relief of Rush Turner. You're watching the Security First Bank Cavalier Sports Network. As I continue to recognize the mothers in my life, my own mom, Linda Fell, love you, Mom, and also my first wife's mom, still alive, Mary Olive, who originally is from Louisiana and knows how to cook some southern things, but prefers takeout. Here we go. It's 9-2. We go to the top of the 6th inning. Asher Cott will lead things off. The bottom third of the order is due up for the PGDC WL Honkers. There's a pitch inside, and Cott slaps it to the left. My good friend Steve Ammerman, the voice of Black Hills State out here, the voice of Rapid City Morning News on News Radio KOTA. He was Mr. Platte-Geddes as a sportscaster. If you're watching from the Platte-Geddes area, I tell you, Steve, he talks about Platte-Geddes all the time. He talks about it as often as I talk about Colby, Kansas, where I managed my first group of radio stations a long time ago. We've got a whistle. A stoppage in play, and umpires talking to Cooper Sales. I don't know what they're talking about. Maybe they're talking about the new Pope. I don't know. And we'll get back to action. Asher Cott set to bat. How neat is it that we know Pope Leo XIV is a big baseball fan and a big Chicago White Sox fan? Pretty cool. There's a pitch over for a strike. Father Christensen in his homily today at Our Mother of Perpetual Help said it's nice that he can bring up his favorite team, the Mets, when he's around the Pope, and the Pope will know exactly what he's talking about. When he would bring up the Mets around Pope Francis, Pope would just speak to him in Latin and smile. There's a big difference there. Mets, by the way, congrats, Father Christensen. You got a great team this year. Wouldn't be shocked to see Padres and Mets. I'm so proud of my Padres. Maybe meet up in the National League Championship Series this year. There's a bloop single to lead things off by Asher Cott. Actually, that was a pinch hitter. That was Bondi Kuiper, who gets the leadoff hit here in the 6th inning with the Honkers on top 9-2. So Bodie Kuiper, sorry about that. Bodie Kuiper comes through as a pinch hitter and reaches base here in the 6th inning. Now Quincy Stevens will hit. Stevens, left-handed hitter, faces right-hander Cooper Sales. Crowd showing up here from Lee Deadwood. They've traveled from the cool spot, I'm sure, in the northern hills to get down to the heat of Rapid City. There's a wild pitch by Cooper Sales, and advancing on the wild pitch is Bodie Kuiper. When I hear the name Bodie, I think that whoever has the name Bodie is perhaps, if he lives a good, clean life, going to be the patron saint of the surfing community. There's just something about Bodie that says you're supposed to ride a wave, hang 10, listen to the Beach Boys. Count is 2-1 to Quincy Stevens. Mike Fell with you on a Sunday afternoon. Happy Mother's Day to all of you moms out there. Potential play on at second. There's a pitch. There's a dribbler in front of the mound. Sales drops his glove, throws to Nielsen. Did he leave the bag? No, he didn't. That's an out. That was a very helter-skelter sequence, but mission accomplished for both teams. Bodie Kuiper advances on that little sack slapper, but Stevens is out 1-3. And now here comes Hayden DeVries. DeVries hits it towards Ben Bowers. Throw to first in time, but the run is delivered across home plate. DeVries with an RBI ground out. That's a 4-3 put out to retire DeVries. And now we go to the top half of the order. This will be the 5th trip through the order this afternoon for Max Van Zee and friends. We're at the top of the order for the Honkers, who lead 10-2 now. PGDCWL, the number 3 seed, trying to get to 6-3 on the year, trailing Rapid City Christian and doing all they can to try to pass the Comets, who beat them last night, to try to be able to host the regionals in Platte. There's an outside pitch. Counts goes to 2-1. At the moment, the Honkers could be right back on this field 8 days from now, because the Comets, who play here, have the number 2 spot in the point standings going into the final week of the season. There's a base hit by Maddox Van Zee, and Maddox with his second hit of the afternoon. He has reached base 4 times out of 5 today. He's scored once. And now, with great speed, with 2 outs, he's at first base. Now he's not. He takes off and steals second base as the ball gets away from Kwasny. St. Thomas More trying to avoid a 4-6 mark. I don't know the last time they've always had a winning season every year. Security First Bank Cavalier Sports Network has covered the team. That might not happen this year. There's a fly to left field. Cronin makes the easy catch with a can of corn on senior day, and Jai Bailey is retired with the fly out to left field. But the Honkers score yet again. Bodie Kuiper with a leadoff single crosses home plate with the help of a wild pitch in the mix and a sacrifice, and then an RBI single by Maddox Van Zee. And we have a 10-2 lead in favor of the Platte-Geddes DC White Lake Honkers. Honkers score 1 run. It was earned on 2 hits. There were no errors, and there was 1 man left on base. We go to the bottom of the 6th inning. Cavaliers will send the heart of the order up to bat. Graydon Juvie, Chris Cronin, and Rush Turner. And if anyone gets on base, it's Joe Giacometto. Coach Jeff Peckney having a conference with the home plate umpire. We got a lot of baseball. What we're seeing today, by the way, is something that's becoming very popular, and rightly so, I think, in Class B baseball, and that's where 3 schools get together on one day and everybody plays each other and everybody able to play a doubleheader. I sure like it. And I know a lot of you fans do too. Stay tuned after this game today. We'll bring you the Security First Bank Cavalier Sports Network postgame show. We'll talk to head coach Jeff Peckney, but we'll also get to talk to both seniors, Chris Cronin, starting left fielder for St. Thomas More, and Brian Bowers, the starting right fielder, and one of the two starting aces on this ball club for the Cavaliers. Juvie will lead things off. We're here in the bottom of the sixth. Cavs down by 8 runs. They need base runners. Most runs the Cavs have come from behind against this year was 4. This would be their largest comeback of the season, and they're running out of outs. We're in the bottom of the sixth. Juvie hits it hard to center for a base hit. That was an excellent hit there by Juvie. And Juvie has tremendous speed. If I was into puns, and I'm not, I would say the Cavs may have a rejuvenation here with Juvie at first with the leadoff hit. Chris Cronin, now the batter. Cronin 1 for 2 today with a single. Cronin almost had a cycle when he went up against Custer. Custer, by the way, cut short their season. It just was one of those rough years that got away from them. There's a wild pitch, or maybe a pass. We'll call it a pass ball. Kenton Kuiper, by the way, he's really been solid, been impressive. He's still out there trying to go the distance. He's only given up 2 runs, and I'm not sure they were earned. There's a swing and a miss. I think one of them was, one of them wasn't. Chris Cronin swinging on that one. It's 2-1. Kuiper seems right at home with this hot weather. Of course, East River teams like the Honkers, there's a flare, and it's going to be caught. Great backhanded play by the first baseman, Maddox Van Zee. Wow, that was... You talk about flashing the leather. What a play right there by Van Zee to retire Chris Cronin for the first out of the 6th inning. And now Kuiper getting talked to by his father, Jeff Kuiper. I think that's going to do it. I think we're going to have a pitching change. Kuiper, I think, would love to go the distance, but that's not going to happen. But what an outing it's been for Kenton Kuiper. Kuiper goes 5 1/3 innings, only gives up 2 runs, at least as of yet. If Juvie's able to score, then that run will be charged to Kuiper. And now coming in to pitch for the Honkers is Isaac Leader, I believe. I think that's Isaac Leader. Isaac Leader. Trying to catch the number. I think it's Isaac Leader. Or is it Jai Bailey? It may be Bailey. Sometimes a 7 and a 3 look almost identical. And I think it's Bailey because he ran in from short. So Jai Bailey is on in relief of Kenton Kuiper. This is not a save situation, as this is a 8-run game as Jai enters the game. The battery, by the way, if you're into American literature, the battery right now could be called Catcher and the Jai, because Jai Bailey spells his name J-Y-E. I never really liked the book Catcher in the Rye, but my English teacher told me at Creighton Prep in Omaha that I was supposed to like it. But, yep, the battery at the moment for the Honkers is the catcher, Keaton Christensen, and Jai Bailey. It's the catcher and the Jai. 1 out, 1 on. Juvie is at second base. He had one of those silent stolen bases a moment ago. Cavaliers have so much speed, but they have to get on the bases to use that speed. There's a wild pitch by Jai Bailey, and Juvie jogs on to third base. So glad to have you with us. This is our largest viewing total of the season. Guess that's a sign we're supposed to broadcast on Sunday afternoons more often. Also a sign that the Honkers fans may have discovered the broadcast, and they're great fans. There's a hit down the left field line for an RBI single by Rush Turner, scoring Graydon Juvie, and now it's 10-3. Cavs have scored a run in each of the middle innings here, innings 4, 5, and 6. Rush Turner with his second ribby of the afternoon, driving in Juvie, and now here comes Joe Giacometto. He's dangerous. He gets all of that one, but hits it foul into the visitors' dugout. Cavaliers starting to show some lumber, some titanium or aluminum, rare earth minerals, whatever we want to call it. Giacometto looks over at first, thinks about putting down a sacrifice, but Cavs don't need to be thinking sacrifice. They need to think about base runners, base runners, base runners. They're down 7 at the moment. It's 10-3. Honkers have out-hit the Cavs 15-8 today. Comes the pitch to Joe Giacometto. There's a swing and a miss, strike 2. Joe Giacometto. He is like a fire hydrant on the defensive side of the ball for Coach Nowotny and the Cavs. When you run a sweep against the Cavs, you don't account for Giacometto, that's going to leave a mark. He is going to absolutely put a postage stamp on the ball carrier in the game we call football. Count is 1-2 now to Giacometto. With a bit of a lead, it's Rush Turner at first. There's a check swing, and that's strike 3. And Kenton Kuiper, or check that, Jai Bailey gets his first out, and it's by way of a check swing strikeout. Swinging strikeout for out number 2. That's 7 strikeouts against the Cavs today. The Cavs, they were swinging and missing and racked up double-digit strikeouts in the loss against Bellefouche on Tuesday night with Howard on the mound. Cole Nielsen now the hitter. Nielsen digging in. There's a wild pitch, and Rush Turner will race down to second with a base. And that's not Turner. That's actually a pinch runner for Turner. See if we can figure out who that is. If we find out, we'll let you know. St. Thomas More with a man in scoring position, 2 outs. We're in the bottom of the 6th inning. Platte-Geddes, DC, White Lake, Honkers 10, STM 3. There's a pitch to Nielsen. He gets in front of it, and there's a throw down the first to retire the side. And back-to-back strikeouts by Jai Bailey with his battery, the catcher and the Jai, able to limit the damage as his predecessor, starting ace Kenton Kuiper was able to do, to only 1 run in each of the last 3 innings for STM. For the Cavaliers, they scored 1 run on a total of 1 hit, or check that, 2 hits. There were no errors, and there was 1 man left on base. We go to the 7th and final inning of the afternoon here on Senior Day. Cooper Sales is out for a 3rd inning of relief work. And the Honkers will send the heart of their order, Kenyon Kuiper, Keaton Christensen, and Ashton Crumvita to the plate. If anybody gets on, Hayden Sprick. Cavaliers guaranteed to go the distance against the Honkers from East River. When we went to Platte 2 years ago for the regionals, the fan support, the energy was just tremendous. And not only was that energy tremendous, but, and I'll never forget this, but the humidity was really thick. It was a factor, I think, for the Cavs that day. It's not why they got beat. They lost to a better team that day, but it was just such a humid afternoon. And as I recall, it was pretty windy as well. Kenyon Kuiper, now the hitter, swings and fouls one off. He's down in the count 0-1. Mike Fell with you, coming to you live from McKeague Field. The shade we had, the momentary shade from some of the clouds, is no longer a thing. It is just sunny just about everywhere. There's a little bit of shadows from those trees starting to blossom in right field near Rapid Creek. Here comes a pitch to Kuiper. He fouls it off the screen in front of the visitors' dugout. St. Thomas More down 7. In danger of falling to 4-6 on the year. Honkers can all but clinch a winning season if they hang on to this 7-run lead going into the 7th. They would be 6-3 on the season, and I guess they would have 2 or 3 games left. But if you get to that 6th win in high school Class B baseball in South Dakota, you're probably getting a winning season, or at least a 500 season. Cavaliers in danger of dropping to 4-6. Still play Lee Deadwood around 5 o'clock tonight. We will not have that for you because we don't want to expose our equipment to an absolute full day of extreme heat. We're just doing one game. We were originally, if we didn't have such a hot day, we were going to do both games, but just one today. Here comes a pitch from Sales. It's Sales on him. Kuiper is at first base. Keaton Christensen is the hitter. Christensen today 1 for 4 on the afternoon with an RBI. And there goes another base runner and another stolen base. Kenyon Kuiper steals second. So seeing a lot of stolen bases on second base in the big leagues, that's a pretty normal occurrence because you get to see the backup catchers out there. If you play fantasy baseball, you always see a couple more steals on Sundays. There's a pop-up. Bowers calls for it, makes the catch for the first out of the inning. Good play there by Ben Bowers. Boy, has Ben been a prototypical example of the progression of good coaching and the gains that one makes by getting more playing time. Ben Bowers has just gotten better and better at second base. There's a chopper in front of the mound. Giacometto throws to Nielsen and gets his man. Crumvita is retired 5-3 across the diamond for the second out. And now Hayden Sprick will come up to bat. And here's what's at stake with this at bat. The Cavaliers have given up at least 1 run each inning of this 7-inning game so far. If the Cavs could retire Sprick, at least they would blank the Honkers in one of the innings today. First pitch is over for a strike. Honkers trying to score in all 7 of the innings in this 7-inning game. There's a ball hit right to the first baseman. He steps on the bag, and the Honkers, for once, are held off the scoreboard. That's an unassisted put out to the first baseman, a U3 if you're scoring with us. There were no runs for the first time today in this double-digit scoring output by the PGDCWL Honkers. There were no hits, there were no errors, and there was one man left on base. We've played 6.5 innings here at McKeague Field in Rapid City. The Cavaliers will send the 8, 9, and 1 hitters to the plate, including the brothers Bowers. It'll be Brian Bowers leading off, Kwasny batting second, Ben Bowers batting third, and then if the Cavs could somehow get through Kenton Kuiper in those first couple at-bats, then, or rather not Kuiper, but Jai Bailey in those first couple at-bats, then they'd send their big hitters to the plate with a chance to perhaps make some magic happen. Let's go ahead and check scores from around Major League Baseball. The Boston Red Sox defeat the Kansas City Royals 3-1 at Kauffman Stadium. In Sacramento, the Yankees all over the A's 6-0. My Padres, who just dominated the Rockies Friday and Saturday, they're down 5 runs in the 8th. It's the Rockies 8, Padres 3. Keeping an eye on the team chasing them out in the desert, out in Phoenix rather. Dodgers leading the Diamondbacks 1-0. Good game at Target Field. Giants and Twins tied 6-6 in the bottom of the 10th inning. Twins have won 7 in a row, and if they can find a way to bring home a winning run in a few minutes, Twins will be above 500, and that's really saying something considering the hole they were in early. There's a base hit by Rush Turner, or rather by Brian Bowers, and Brian Bowers, who we will talk to after this game is completed, able to come through with his first hit on senior day. And now Isaiah Kwasny comes up to bat. Can the Cavaliers get some type of resistance, some type of rally going against relief pitcher Jai Bailey? There's a pop-up, infield fly called for. Reserve shortstop makes the catch for PGDCWL. So there's a pop-up to the shortstop. Kwasny is out. Kwasny finishes his day 0 for 3, does not throw the bat this time. He threw the bat the first 2 times he was out. Now Bowers spits. Nothing says you're serious in high school baseball than spitting with only a few saliva glands to spare. Here comes a pitch. That's a swing and a miss. Bowers was golfing for that one. Came up empty. I know I can spit, but I just don't like to. When I go to the dentist's office, that machine with the little vacuum tube has to work overtime. It's pretty bad. But I'm paying for it. 1-1 count. Bowers with a lead. Brian Bowers with a lead. The hitter is Ben Bowers. There's a pitch. It's low. Count is now 2-1. St. Thomas More trailing by 7 here in the bottom of the 7th. Staring down the prospects of losing their 4th game in a row. They lost at Gregory last Sunday. They lost at home to Bellefouche Tuesday. They lost to Hot Springs on the road Thursday, and now they're down to Platte-Geddes, D.C. White Lake by 7 runs here at home this afternoon on Mother's Day. There's a walk issued to Ben Bowers, and now both Bowers are at first and second for Hayden Heeg with 1 out. Jai Bailey on in relief. He's not in a save situation. If he would have worked 3 full innings, he would have been in one. One of those backdoor saves. Wonder how many of our viewers remember the Rolaids Fireman Relief Award. That was when a closer was a closer. They didn't bring you in back in the day when the bases were empty to start the 9th inning. No sirree, Bob. You had to come out with guys on base and literally put out a fire, sometimes without much of a fire extinguisher. Today's world is so much softer than the world that baseball grew up in. Of course, you want to go way, way back. Early baseball days, they didn't play with gloves. The gloves were, I think, frowned upon or optional, or maybe they didn't have enough leather to stick together. I don't know, stitch together. Counts 1-2 to Hayden Heeg. There's a swing and a miss, and Hayden is the second out of the inning, and now the Cavaliers are down to their final out. Here comes Graydon Juvie. What a player Juvie is, the number 3 hitter in the lineup. 2 on and 2 out, bottom of the 7th. Cavs down 10-3, down to their last strike, and pitch by Jai Bailey catches the corner for strike 1. Can Juvie keep the line moving? Can he keep the Cavaliers alive here? Juvie with great speed, and there's a high pitch that fails to enter the upper ceiling of the strike zone. That's ball 1. Here comes the 1-1 pitch from Bailey, and that pitch is off the plate for ball 2. Graydon Juvie, one of the best football players in South Dakota by a long ways. He's getting a lot of Division II interest, but I think he should be at the high level of D1. There's a chopper handled by the shortstop. Shovel past to second base for a force out, and that's your ball game. Ben Bowers is retired, 6'4", on a fielder's choice, and that'll do it. Give credit to PG DCWL. The Honkers are now 6-3. They win 10-3 over the St. Thomas More Cavaliers. Cavs drop their 4th in a row. To recap the bottom of the 7th, there were no runs. There was 1 hit. There were no errors, and there were 2 men left on base. The final score here at McKeague Field on this Mother's Day Sunday afternoon. The Honkers 10, the Cavaliers 3. Stay tuned for our Senior Day Security First Bank post-game show. We'll talk to head coach Jeff Peckney, and we'll chat with seniors Chris Cronin and Brian Bowers. It'll be a lot of fun for sure. And I want to thank Brian Bowers' father, Ben Bowers, because he gave me a little bit of a write-up on some of these players early in the season, and now I get to reference that write-up. I'm also going to attempt something that I would never attempt at home, and that is to move the camera, see if we can't show you this interview. Usually you just get the radio version of our conversation with Jeff Peckney, but these seniors deserve our best attempt at some television, so we're going to see what we can do. Rotate the camera without disconnecting the camera. And I think we've got ourselves a chance for you to see these seniors, Brian Bowers and Chris Cronin. Our final score, the game just completed. Platte-Geddes, DC, White Lake Honkers 10, St. Thomas More 3. The Honkers now draw even on their weekend road trip. after losing a very big game in the point standings last night to the Rapid City Christian Comets, coached extremely well by Adam Courtney. And for St. Thomas More, they now are really in a position where they need this game tonight. They really want to win that game tonight against Lead Deadwood, their only meeting of the year against the Gold Diggers. If they can beat the Gold Diggers and earn a split, Coach Jeff Peckney believes Cavaliers would be in a solid position to avoid the number 8 seed and would be in a position where they could likely stay home for the regionals because they would be in that 2, 3, 6, 7 seeding of the single elimination regionals. And the Comets, they would be in position at the moment to host the regional right here in Rapid City. So I can't tell you how big that could be for the Cavs not to have to get on a bus and go to Platte a week from tomorrow for regionals. That's what it looks like at the moment. But the Cavs would still have a tough game on Friday at Bennett County, which currently has the number 4 seed in the West nailed down. And the possibility is still out there that the Cavs could fall to the 8th seed. They need a win. If they get a win, then their chance of staying home for regionals goes way up. And Brian Bowers, who we'll talk to on this Security First Bank Cavalier Sports Network post-game, figures to be the starting pitcher of that game coming up tonight. Big clutch start on senior night, senior day for Brian Bowers. And we won't have the game. We wanted to bring it to you, but the hot weather has definitely created a situation where we simply have to use our best judgment, stick to one game, so we don't want to burn out or hurt the equipment that we bring you our sports action on all season long. All right, I'm going to see if I can figure out if we've have ourselves a picture or not. Waving things around here, seeing if we have a picture for our interview. It's hard to tell. Oh, there we go. I think we got something. We do. All right. Well, we are going to go full close up, and I think we are going to have an interview. Somebody. We'll talk to Coach Peckney. Then we'll talk to Brian Bowers and Chris Cronin. I'm going to read up a little bit on Chris and Brian. They have both been playing STM baseball since the 7th grade. Wow, and they have both been varsity since freshman year. Truly impressive. And we are getting closer and closer to our interview. I'm going to try something else. See what we can do here. And I think we've got ourselves a picture. Yes, we do. All right. We are moments away from bringing you our post-game show interview with Jeff Peckney and our seniors, Chris Cronin and Brian Bowers. It's senior day here at the ballpark, and a very hot day, but a rewarding day to be a part of this great game we call baseball. And in the summertime, we we don't always, in the spring, we don't get these summer days too often here in South Dakota. We'll take them. Coach Jeff Peckney on his way up, along with Brian Bowers and Chris Cronin. And we will have our conversation. Hi, guys. Come on in. We've got our seniors, Brian Bowers and Chris Cronin. Great to see you guys. I'm going to have you stand over here, if that's okay. Pardon my little mess down there. I'm going to have you put a headset on. And we'll go ahead first and talk to Chris Cronin. Chris, good to talk to you. I want to say thank you on behalf of all the fans for all you've given for St. Thomas More Cavalier baseball in your career.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Baseball's always been my favorite sport. I think it's just the greatest game anybody's ever made, and yeah, I just love playing it.
We found out in the last couple of days our new pope, who's from Chicago, he loves baseball. You know, we're just, it is an amazing game. You play it very well. I think if that Custer game had gone a little longer, you may have hit for the cycle. I remember that.
Yep.
Was a really good night for you. You got a young team. Talk about being a senior and setting just a really good example as a senior for this program.
Yeah, you know, it's an important role. It can be challenging at times, you know, to always, you know, try and be your best role model. You know, it's really important to try and pick other people up all the time, set a good example, and just, you know, share everything I can.
You bet. So I understand that you are a wrestler. You know, we do a feature called Meet the Cavaliers, but we don't do that, Meet the Cavaliers, for baseball or wrestling. And you did an excellent job. I'll get to that in a moment in the play Oklahoma that I came and watched. But I wanted to have you talk about your wrestling experience at STM and what your coaches did for you.
Yeah, wrestling was huge. You know, I've started wrestling in first grade, I believe, and, you know, it just really shaped kind of my life and just kind of shaped the person who I am. It taught me a lot of, you know, skills, working hard. This year I had a much better year than I had ever had before. It was my first year that I actually had a winning record, and I was ranked a little bit in the state for a little bit, and it was really, really good, a lot of fun.
Well, way to go. That had to be really gratifying to stick with it and to just get better and better, and then to get that recognition of being ranked. That's awesome, Chris.
Yeah, definitely.
We're talking with Chris Cronin, senior on Senior Day. And Chris, I always feel like when watching you play in left field, you know what you're doing out there. You do a good job. So let's talk a little bit about something that has nothing to do with sports, and that is it's Mother's Day. I got the chance to meet your mom. She works in the development office. You want to say Happy Mother's Day?
Absolutely, yeah. She's, you know, she's the best. She's always showing up for every game, every wrestling meet. You know, just helping me do the best I can, always being there, helping me get what I need. Yeah, she's great.
That's great. And you were in the play, the Rogers and Hammerstein production of Oklahoma that was shown on stage at St. Elizabeth Seton. I had a chance to go and see the Friday night show. You did an excellent job, and you played the role of the peddler, and that's a hard role to play. You're like in all these different scenes with a lot of different people. You did a good job.
Yeah, no, that was a lot of fun. I started doing theater last spring was my first play, so I got 3 plays in. And yeah, it was the most fun I had yet. It was a good character. I got to kind of, you know, expand more than my previous roles, and yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Well, and I hope just in real life you don't find yourself in the character's position where you're getting roped into potential marriages all the time. That's a really hard way to live, by the way.
Yeah, he got himself into, Ali Hakim is, you know, quite the player. Gets himself into a lot of trouble.
All right. Well, Chris, any final message you want to share here on Senior Day to all the fans?
Just thank you for always coming out and supporting. it's great to play, and it's even better when I hear everybody in the stands cheering on, familiar faces and voices. So yeah, thank you.
And want to say congratulations ahead of time on your graduation. Where are you headed next year? Do you know?
I am not heading to college next year. I'm gonna take a gap year, figure some
Okay.
things out. Potentially go to college the next year, but yeah, just gonna figure things out for now.
All right. Well, very good. Thanks so much.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you,
you.
Chris. That's Chris Cronin joining us. We're now going to talk to Brian Bowers, and then we're going to talk with head coach Jeff Peckney. And coach, let's talk with Brian Bowers. Well, first of all, I think it was the beginning of the season when Coach was in Baltimore. We got to see your dad manage the team. Does he still bring that up sometimes?
Yeah, he loves it. He's been coaching me since I think I was first grade. He loves coaching, and he missed out first 2 years of my high school baseball, but now he gets to coach again, and he loves it.
So, Brian, we know you have a great swing at the plate. You also must have a great swing on the course. You're a varsity golfer. Tell us about that.
So I've been playing golf my entire life, but I never really tried to play in tournaments or anything. And then I think seventh grade I started golfing like that. I really just got into it, and then every summer I just try to play every day. Now I work at a golf course, get free golf.
Oh, well, that's even
Great,
better.
yeah.
That's even better. Now, our technical director, he's not a part of our baseball broadcast. That's Braden Strain. You got to tell me, is he a good golfer? Or is he just on the team? Is he good?
He's better than me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
He's pretty good.
All right. Well, that's good to know. Now I know I'm never going to golf with him. No, I'm joking. I would golf someday with him down the road. Well, let's talk a little bit about this big game coming up tonight. Looks like you're going to have the ball in your hand. As I understand it, with how the point standings look, this game tonight is a really big game, and it's a big start for you.
Yeah, it's really important. We need this win to try to stay in the 6th, 7th seed to be able to get to regions and play a team to, advance further.
You bet.
I just need to prepare mentally to pitch on the mound, but I think we'll do good.
All right. Anything you want to share with you better say Happy Mother's Day.
Oh, yeah. Happy Mother's Day, Mom. You've been there through everything. Love you, and thank you for coming to all my baseball games and sitting through the heat.
All right. Yeah, especially the heat. Well, hey, Brian, pleasure to get to talk to you. We want to wish you the best. Where are you headed after you get your diploma?
Texas Christian University in Texas.
Wow. Yeah. All right. You're Horned Frogs.
Yep, Horned Frog.
That is awesome. The home of Slingin' Sammy Baugh and my man, I'm a Chargers fan, LaDainian Tomlinson. So very cool. Hey, thank you, and congratulations on heading to Fort Worth. There's a place called Billy Bob's. Don't do like I did and ride the mechanical bull. It's not safe. Just don't do that. All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
You bet. He's Brian Bowers. I'm Mike Fell. And now we're going to talk to head coach Jeff Peckney. Coach, that was fun. It's great to talk to those seniors.
Oh, yeah. You can't get two nicer kids and better
Yeah.
kids. And they've been around for me for a long time. So, I got the joy to coach them and teach them in middle school. And great kids. They're good leaders for our program.
So we went up against a tough opponent today.
Yeah.
It's a tough time of year to have a skid, but you get the sense that we're kind of coming up on a back against the wall moment, and I believe in our guys. I believe in tonight.
Yeah, I do too. We won the last few innings there, so we got off to a little bit of a rough start, but yeah, we're staying positive. We saw some good things and our defense I thought played pretty well.
Oh yeah.
But give them credit. They hit the ball. We got to do the same thing, and we will, and we'll move on from there. And so, please, what we saw there, and they're a good team, so we knew that coming in, and yeah, we're on a little skid right now, but we'll have to kind of dig ourselves out, and I think we'll be fine.
But I thought the team looked at the plate a lot more in control, a lot more focused, disciplined, and on top of things than what we saw on Tuesday night against Kane Howard and Belfouche.
Yeah, we just didn't strike out as much. We put the ball in play, and you saw, I think we had 8 or 9 hits, which is great. So we know it's there. We just, like I said, it's highs and lows, and we're kind of low right now, and I think we're coming back out here. And we got to play well against Deadwood. They beat Bennett County their last game, and so we'll be ready to go. And we got Brian ready to pitch, and we're good. For a sophomore and for a freshman to pitch last game against Platte, they did pretty good, right?
Yeah.
So, we're young. We gotta remind ourselves of that too, right?
Well, I look at somebody like second baseman Ben Bowers, how much better cleanly he's playing that position than when we got started.
Exactly.
This young team just gets better and better.
It does. And, you got to remind yourself, we only got really 2 guys that played any varsity experience last year for us at all. So,
that's a good point.
And so you got to be realistic too, and we're good, and we're staying positive, and, there's still 4 things we need to work on, and, we got to get ready for next Tuesday, not this coming Tuesday, but next for the regional, and we'll see where we're at. So.
And finally, Coach, we look at the picture for regionals. No matter where we play, the Security First Bank Cavalier Sports Network will be there again, covering you guys. And I'd love for it to be right here in this press box.
Yeah.
That's a possibility. Explain how that's a possibility.
Well, Rapid City Christian's sitting number 2 right now, so we still got a week of games left. But if they control their destiny, then if they keep one out, they'll probably stay there. So the 1 hosts the 8 and the 4 and 5 in the same spot with 3 games. With the 1 and 8, and then the 4 and 5 play, and then the 2 play for the championship to advance to state. Same thing with the 2. The 2 will host. They'll play the 7. The 3 and 6 will play next. And then the winner of that will go to state also. So right now, where we sit, winner's the 1, and Rapid City Christian's the 2. But we still got a week left, so we'll see what all works out. I think we're sitting in 7th right now, but that could change too. So.
All right. Coach, finally, you're a Chicago guy. We have a Pope from Chicago. I have to ask about this.
Yeah.
What's it mean to you?
Oh, geez, amazing. Never forget the day in school. It happened like right at recess time. So we had TVs on, Promethean boards, everybody's going crazy. So I asked a couple of the fathers the day before about having an American Pope, and they said slim to none. And then it happened. So, but no, I've heard he's a great guy. He's from Chicago, went to Villanova, and it's kind of cool. So, we'll see how that goes. But it was a great day.
It's funny. The funny part I thought was that as soon as they announced that the Pope was from Chicago, the Cubs said he was their fan, and then we found out he was a White Sox fan. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did see that. So, there's a divide between them two. That's for sure, right?
It's a good
Just like
thing.
any cities, like L.A. and everything else. So New York, same thing.
Yeah, I went to college in St. Louis, and my history of baseball teacher, believe it or not, I went to such a good school. They have a history of baseball class.
That should be sweet.
It was a great class. I learned a lot, and it was actually taught. And this is the 90s. I'll show my age. This is way back in 1990s. But it was taught by a professor who was the president of the St. Louis Browns fan club.
Okay.
He had gone to Sportsman Park's Browns game before the Browns moved to Baltimore and turned into the Orioles. So it's kind of a wild thing. But that St. Louis even had 2 baseball teams at one time.
Nice.
So,
Good.
Well,
sweet.
Well, Coach, thank you for making the time, as always, to come up here. Thanks for bringing your seniors and having them be a part of this.
They were nervous at first, but they both knocked it out of the park, I think.
They did. They totally crushed
it.
it.
They were going to be just fine.
Well, I wasn't worried because if Chris Cronin can perform on stage in a major role in a play, and I could just see right away. I mean, Brian Bowers, he could probably host his own show or podcast.
I agree. I completely agree. So no, they're great kids, and almost my kids are like that too. So I'm blessed to coach at a school and with the kids that I have. So, but we want to say thank you, Mike. We've got people watching all over the Midwest that get your games. My parents watch. We got people from all over the place watching. So we like to appreciate that, and hopefully we can give you a good ride for playoffs. So
we're going to be. We will be with you.
As soon as I know, which I know usually before anybody else.
All right.
You'll know,
let me know right away, I will. We will be here.
So I think the final games are Friday. I think.
Yeah, Friday. The game changer says Bennett County on the road for us.
Yeah, we'll see. We're still trying to figure out where we're going to play that game at, but. We got some kids in AP classes and a few things we're working on there, so we'll get that going. There may be a date game on Saturday depending on makeup stuff, but next Tuesday the 20th will be the date. So we got going. And
it will be Tuesday the 20th.
Yeah, Tuesday's the 20th.
Okay,
Tuesday, not Monday.
Gotcha.
We got Class B golf on Monday. Involved in that. So is Gregory.
Gotcha.
So we can't play that day. So it's Tuesday.
Perfect.
The 20th will be the day.
That's what I needed to know, and.
Yep.
I will make my plans.
We're kind of hoping it's here. It'd be great.
Yeah.
Stay home, and it's been a while since we've been that, but everywhere we go, we have nice fields to play on, and we can't say anything about that. So enough good words about that.
Absolutely, Coach.
Thanks
so much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. That's Jeff Peckney, head coach of the St. Thomas More Cavaliers. And we thank our 2 seniors from the class of 2025, Brian Bowers, as well as Chris Cronin, for joining us. That was just great. And what a hot but exciting day, neat day this Mother's Day has been. And yes, we're still celebrating big time on this first Sunday, day of obligation, since we found out that Robert Prevost is now Pope Leo XIV, and the United States of America has its first pope. It is mid to late afternoon. It is 3:38. Our final score in the game that ended about 20 minutes ago, it was PGDC WL Honkers 10, the St. Thomas More Cavaliers 3. The Honkers are now 6-3. Cavaliers are 4-6. The Cavs play tonight in a game that will probably start somewhere around 7 o'clock would be my guess, or 6:30. A big game for the Cavs with senior Brian Bowers on the mound. Cavs trying to get that 6 or 7 spot nailed down. And if they do, and if the Comets with the great coach Adam Courtney and the Rapid City Comets, if they can win out and finish second, then we will be here at home, not as the home team, but we will be home for the regionals on Tuesday, May the 20th. And we will be wherever the Cavaliers play, whether it's here at McKeag Field in Rapid City or it's on the road in Platte at the home of the Honkers. We will go where the regionals will be hosted. For all of us here at Security First Bank Cavalier Sports Network, Mike Fell saying thanks for watching. Our final score, it is the PGDCWL Honkers 10, the St. Thomas More Cavaliers 3. Good afternoon and happy Mother's Day from a hot McKeag Field.